Hello, everybody. How are you guys doing on today? It is Angela Anderson of Angela's Literary Cafe. And guys, I am a double fangirling. Okay, first of all, I have the one and only, the maestro of musical thrillers, all that good stuff, Brendan Slocumb in the house on today. And guys, award-winning audiobook narrator Chante McCormick, who also narrated Symphony of Secrets, is hanging out with Brendan and I on today. I also want to shout out Page 158 Books. They are sponsoring this literary cafe on today. To shout out to Page 158 Books as well. Guys, okay, let's just say this. Go ahead, stop what you're doing, like, tag, and share. Tell everybody you know to come on down to the cafe because we're going to be spilling a little bit of tea, all of that good stuff, as well as we talk about Symphony of Secrets by Brendan Slocumb. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so before I get too excited, because y'all can tell I'm already excited. I mean, I got two celebrities hanging out with me today. Of course, I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves as well. But guys, we got some folks hanging out with us. Myra Cook is hanging out with us. Hey, Myra, thank you for joining us. We have Mama Tony of Mama Tony's Book Nook. She is hanging out with us as well. We got author Deborah King hanging out with us. Let's see, Veronica Lockett. She is always hanging out with us at the cafe. She's hanging out with us today, Brendan and Chante on today. Oh my goodness, guys. We have Shay Baby of Brown Books series hanging out with us today. Hey, Shay, thank you for joining us. Constance Gilliam. Oh my goodness, guys, they are coming in to hang out with us on today. So guys, and thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you, Page 158 Books as well for sponsoring this amazing cafe. Okay, so let me allow them to introduce themselves to the people because, see, I have a whole bunch I can say about both of these two individuals. Oh, my God. It's like they're family. They're just amazing at what they do. But we're going to start with Brendan Slocumb. Oh, my goodness. Brendan, can you introduce yourself to the people?
Hey, everybody. I am so incredibly happy to be here today with my cousin, Angela. We're not really cousins, but we're cousins for real. She'll explain
Yes.
that. But I am so happy to be here talking about Symphony of Secrets, and I really appreciate all the support. And I am actually fanboying because the amazing Chante McCormick is here today, and I get to hear her take on bringing these words to life. And I said to her right before we came on, I actually have not listened to her audiobook version yet, and I've been forgiven. I'm going to do it. So I'm really excited to hear what she has to say. And thank you guys. It's so lovely to be here.
Hey, everybody.
I love that. I love that.
Hey, thanks for having me.
And of course, Chante McCormick, as I said, award-winning audiobook narrator. Introduce yourself. And guys, if you know, Chante is not a stranger to the cafe. I mean, several books that she have audiobook narrated. She's hung out with us a little bit, did some pop-ups and surprised the authors as well. But Chante McCormick, introduce yourself, my friend.
Sure thing. Hey, Angela, thanks for having me again. I've been on the cafe a couple of times. So I'm an audiobook narrator and an actress from Chicago, living in LA, and I'm the narrator of Symphony of Secrets. I've been narrating since 2017, and I've done almost 80 books. So
wow, I love that. I love that. Oh my goodness. Guys, of course, thank all of you for hanging out with us as well. Now, we're going to get right in. We're going to spill some tea. They're going to answer some questions and stuff, all of that good stuff. But I want to talk about, okay, Brendan. So we go way back. You know, we go way back to, like, y'all know, Violent Conspiracy. Y'all already know that was one of my faves. So 2022 still is my fave. Still have a book hangover. And then Brendan, he hit us with this solo. I mean, with his sophomore act. Okay, guys. See, first of all, I was a little privileged. Don't hate nobody, but I received like the galley copy, like an art. Oh my. Okay, Brendan, do y'all see this? So y'all, okay. So before everybody else got it, I was already like into this book. Okay. So, and then of course, you know, I got my copy of the final Symphony of Secrets. Brendan, and I think I did a good job. What y'all think? You know, I'm trying to match the cover. tell us a little bit about this amazing cover, because I loved it.
Well, like Angela said, we do go way back. The first time I met Angela, she came to a book reading, and my cousins were there. And when I tell you they hit it off, I was like, dang, I thought I was the one that you were supposed to come and be talking to. And, two of my cousins were there and they hit it off. She gave them some advice on where to get a hat, I think it was. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're family now. That's it. We're all cousins. With the cover to Symphony of Secrets, I got to tell you, you see it in my background here. To be honest, I actually hated it. I hated it for a long time until I understood it. The story revolves around a lost manuscript of an opera that had to do with the Olympic rings. And you'll notice in the cover, there's only 4 colors: black, yellow, blue, and green. And in the Olympic flag, there are 5 colors. Red is the color that is missing. And in the story, red is the opera that was discovered that was missing. So this cover makes perfect sense. And when I actually, it clicked, I'm like, whoa, I love it. I absolutely love it now. It makes a lot of sense to me. It would be even better if they put a red O in Symphony of. If the O was red, I think that would have just tipped everything off. But, hey, I'm not a cover designer. I don't know.
I love that. And thank you for sharing about this cover as well. And in addition to the cover, we have to talk about the title. And of course, guys, if you've read the book, you'll totally get, the title or what have you. But for me, I remember when you told me what the title of book 2 was, I was already engaged, like, oh, I'm so ready for this, or what have you. But tell us a little bit about this title, and can you spill a little bit of tea? Was Symphony of Secrets the original working title, or the title just kind of came along a little bit after? So tell us that, Brendan.
Well, the title, it's totally that's a secondary title. The editing team really thought that the alliteration with the Symphony and Secrets that would hit a little harder, and I got to say I agree. The original title, when I came up with the book proposal, was, I think it was The Composer's Last Score, which is fine. That's a fine title. But I just think that the alliteration and just the meaning of Symphony of Secrets means so much more, because there's the whole thing is a big secret. The relationship between the protagonist, that's a secret. What the goals are of the corporation, that's a secret. Will they ever get the information to the world, about Josephine? That is a secret. So I think it hits a little harder with that title, and I'm glad they went with that instead of my original working title. I can write the book, but titles I just can't do.
I love that. I love that. Guys, if you are just joining us, we are hanging out with the one and only Brendan Slocumb on today, and audiobook narrator Chante McCormick. Of course, you guys know how we do it here at the cafe. If you have a question for Chante or Brendan, put it in the comment section. We'll be sure to include you as well. Now, Chante, let us ask you this, okay? What was it like when you were notified that you would be doing Symphony of Secrets? Like, what was that first reaction for you when you found out about this amazing story and you knew that you would be the one bringing this story to life audibly?
At first, it was a little elusive because they were asking questions about availability, and I was like, yes, I am. For what? And then I remembered Brendan on your show probably a year ago. And I didn't watch the whole episode, but I remembered the book and all the buzz. And so I was like putting 2 and 2 together that this was the follow-up, although not related. And so it was exciting. I always like to work, and I like to work on good writing, great writing, so it was exciting.
I love that. I love that. Now, speaking of that, this book, guys, if you don't know, it has won, and Chante, you can speak on this a little bit. Of course, Brendan, you can too. This book, it has received, was it the Earphone Award, Chante? And tell us a little bit about that and what that was like.
Oh, okay. So Audiophile Magazine is like our trade paper. It's not a newspaper, but it's like a magazine. Just audiobooks doesn't have like a ton of authoritative voices, I would say, but that is one. And so Audiophile Magazine comes out every week. They do reviews. They're known for doing their reviews. You know, as a narrator, you're always kind of like on the edge of your seat because you don't know if you're going to be reviewed. And then what if it's not good? Will you ever work again? You know, that kind of thing. So these reviews come out, and every month they pick, and I don't know how many, but they have this Earphones Award that goes to what is considered like what we all want to be striving for, you know, great characterization, interpretation of the work. And it's kind of like a little gold standard star of approval. So I have gotten a few as part of a cast, but this is the first time that I had done something from the beginning, middle, and end, and then got one. So I'm excited about that.
I love that. I love that. And guys, if you don't know, okay, I am totally a fan of Chante McCormick and her audiobook narration. So when I saw that she was the narrator of Symphony of Secrets, I was like, oh my goodness, this right? Is this happening? Is this really happening to me? That Brendan Slocumb has a new book out and Chante McCormick is the audiobook narrator. Because y'all already know that audiobooks, guys, if you ever listen to audiobooks, let me just tell you, and y'all have heard me say it before, it's like a whole nother level of reading. Okay, it really is. And so to kind of put the two together, one of your favorite authors and then one of your favorite audiobook narrators, let me just tell you, it's combustible. Okay, it's just explosive as well. So Brendan, I want to talk about this a little bit, and Chante, we'll definitely get you to chime in as well because we're gonna get ready to talk about characters a little bit. But Brendan, when you first started working on the Symphony of Secrets, and guys, also in case you don't know, Brendan is the author of Violence Conspiracy. If you look straight back, you see it behind him. It was a February GMA book club pick of 2022. Let me just tell you, it's an amazing read. These books are not like they're not like in a series, so you can read Violence Conspiracy. But if you haven't, go ahead and get it as well. And for this one, Symphony of Secrets, your sophomore book, when you started working on it, Brendan, and you was in your writing cave or what have you, what came first for you? Was it the characters? Because these are some amazing characters. Or was it the plot? And guys, it is some plot, okay?
It was, for me, it was actually the characters. I let the characters drive the story. Because if you don't have interesting characters, the story could be the best story in the world. But, you know, if it's nothing interesting about the people telling the story, you know, it's just it's a dud. It just kind of sits there. And Freddie was the first person. He was the first character I came up with. And he was followed closely by Josephine. And I had to build on Freddie a little bit, but Josephine, I knew exactly what I wanted with her. She was this person, you know, she was a genius. She was a total genius, and people just did not get her. And with it being in the 1920s, you know, there was so much against her being a woman, being a Black woman, and then being a neurodivergent Black woman in the 1920s. She just couldn't catch a break. So I knew she was going to be a very interesting character just right off the bat. But with everyone else, like Freddie, I had to I was like, okay, Freddie's a nice guy. And I know we're going to have this debate until the end of time, but I like Freddie. I do. I know he made some questionable choices, but he's overall a nice guy. And who's to say that if any one of us were in Freddie's shoes, that we would have done anything differently? You know, I'm just saying. That's all I'm saying. But definitely my stories are character driven. Once I have an interesting character, they tend to drive the story.
I love that. I love that. Now, for those who have read the book, y'all see we started making some faces when he was talking about Frederick. But if you read the story, you'll kind of know why. Like Brendan said, he's questionable at times. Okay, we just gonna leave it at that. He can be pretty questionable as well. I love that. I love that. Now, Chante, can you answer this for us? And this can kind of be like a broad, like we of course we'll kind of talk about some individual characters, but just when you think about the characters as a whole, because you had several characters that you had to narrate or what have you, what was that like for you?
So when I'm prepping a book, I usually keep a spreadsheet to help navigate the process. So I know what I'm doing in each chapter and who's in what chapter and what groups of people sort of tend to be together and flow together and where those voices need to sit in order for the listener to distinguish between them. And I remember during the recording sessions at one point, the director was like, "You're playing a lot of characters." And I was like, "Actually, I think it's 56, you know?" And I don't know if that's perfectly like I forgot a doorman or something, but I did write them all down, anyone that spoke. And I think it was around that. So yeah, you know, it's that this is like,
That is super cool. And
yeah.
I bet some of them was like super fun, especially when they made the trip to North Carolina, Oxford, North Carolina. That whole crew, I was cracking up. I was like, the North Carolina crew is represented. So I can imagine you doing audiobook narration for those.
I needed my Wheaties that day. Listen, it was like, okay, now who? And then, you know, so I think after we did that scene, I could see her through the glass and we just were like, woo. So yeah, no. I mean, this is what we love, though. This is why you do this job, because you know, you don't get to play all the characters in any other medium that I can think of. I don't get to be white people, Black people. You know what I mean? I don't get to play men, which I did a lot of in this book. And you know, it's just that's the gig.
All right. You know, Angela, can I ask Chante a question? Who was your favorite character? Who was your favorite character to narrate?
It's so hard, but maybe it's not that hard. Okay, Ebony. I mean, here's the thing. While recording, you're all about what you have to do. And you're like, okay, this is what has to happen today. And this is what's going to be happening tomorrow. And you're like focused in the zone. But once the book came out and a few weeks went by, I went and bought it and just listened. And she's so funny. I'm just laughing. Like, it's like, it's not about it being me. You know, I'm just like caught up in the story.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, there's a lot of funny people. And actually, there's a lot of humor in this book, guys. Like, yeah.
Yes. And Chante, I'm glad that you said that, because Ebony is one of those characters that, yes, she like radiates off the page. And Ebony is one of those where it's like, you gotta love Ebony. You gotta love Ebony. She ain't gonna take no jump. She gonna hit it to you straight. She gonna tell you like it is. I just fell in love with Ebony as well. There are some moments, like you said, where you just laugh as well. And speaking of that, and Brendan, you mentioned this a little bit earlier when you was talking about some of the characters or what have you, but you did deal with some characters that were neurodivergent or what have you. What was that like, and what was the importance of showing that representation in this book, Symphony of Secrets? And you did a phenomenal job, by the way.
Yes.
Thank you. That was extra important to me, because I have, you know, I've taught students who live with autism. My nephew lives with autism. My best friend's brother lives with autism. And I never have read, that I can remember, that I can recall clearly, reading anything or seeing movies with people living with autism who were represented in a positive way. It was always, you can't do this. You can't do this. You shouldn't be doing this. You know, someone else has to take care of you. And I wanted a character who was not, you know, living with autism, but was strong and knew what they wanted and had a direction and had purpose. And I'm hoping that, you know, I felt like Josephine represented that. And to me, that was really important. So people could see themselves. You know, it's so important. We understand that, how important it is to actually be seen in literature, in television, in movies. We know how important that is. And people have actually reached out to me and said, you know, I have a son who lives with autism. I have a daughter who lives with autism, and you nailed it. And, you know, it gave me hope. And I hope that people see them now, for not just because of the things that they do or things that they don't do, but because of actually who they are. So that made me feel good. I'm like, oh, wow, you know, it worked. That's what I wanted. And it really is incredibly important to me. And I'm always going to try to represent what I know, and people, you know, I'm always going to try to put that in books, because it is important.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love that. And Piper Hewley says, thanks for answering that question of
Hey,
inspiration.
Piper.
She wondered if something like the Jack Daniels story had inspired you. It was a great read and she enjoyed it very much. And yes, Ebony Sin too. So I love that. Thank you so much, author Piper Hewley, who is hanging out with us on today as well. And it's one of those stories where, which, you know, he did the same thing, guys, in Violin Conspiracy. It's like he just hit you with a bang, hit you with a headliner. You're on the edge of your feet. On the edge of your seat, sorry, and you are really trying to figure out like what's going on. Now, Brendan, we got to talk about this a little bit because you already know I love a good dual timeline. Okay, and for me, I was like, "Ooh, Brendan is giving me a dual timeline." Okay, I love it. I love it, guys. It is the 1920s New York, Manhattan, New York, and then it's present day New York as well. And then they do make a trip to North Carolina, which I love that, by the way. That was one of my favorite scenes among many. Okay, so Brendan, did you know that Symphony of Secrets was going to be told in the dual timeline, aspect of it? Because you nailed that as well. Okay, you nailed it. So tell us a little bit about that and you doing the dual timeline thing.
100%. For me, if you're doing a dual timeline, it just gives you more opportunity to tell a bigger story. You're not confined to just one thing. It gives you, it just expands everything. So I was like, yeah, but it really important to me to make sure that everything was accurate, like with the attire, with the language, with the food that they ate, everything. I did a lot of research making sure that, okay, this is what they would have eaten during that time, because you can tell a broader story that way. And of course, I'm going to throw North Carolina in. I got to represent, I got to represent my people. And people have said to me, I'm so happy that when you put places like Oxford, North Carolina in your books, and people, that everything, it gives us, it represents us well, because we have the stigma from people being from the South that we're not intelligent. We only do certain things, and that's kind of wiping away that stigma. And that's really important to me, being from the South, from Fayetteville. And, I'm proud to be from Fayetteville, and I got to represent my peeps. But telling that story in two timeline, it really expands everything. And it's also, because I'm a teacher, it's a learning tool. I really feel like people can get a sense of, when you know what happened in the past, you get a better sense of why things are the way they are in the present, and it gives you a starting point. It's like, oh, okay, well, why is this way? Why do people act like this? Why do people view him or her this way? It's because of what happened in the past. And it really gives you an opportunity to, to just expand on that and give people, it teaches. I'm a teacher, that's what I do. And that's what I want to do. I love the dual timelines too. It's like you get two stories in one, and, hey, it's good stuff.
Yes. And one thing that I enjoy about a dual timeline, and Chante, I'm going to come to you in a minute, because I want to find out what that was like to, because you had present day and then you had in the 1920s, what that was like for you as the audiobook narrator. But Brendan, one of the things that I really enjoy about a dual timeline, and for me, it's one of the things that I determine for me, okay, because I can't talk about other people. I know a dual timeline is done right when I am like missing both sides equally. like if I'm in present day, I'm missing the 1920s. If I'm in the 1920s, I'm missing present day. For those, if I'm doing that equally, where like it's just done seamlessly, I'm like, man, I'm just enjoying this dual timeline. But Chante, what was that like for you?
Is somebody knocking? It was great. We recorded this book over the course of 6 days, mostly in February, maybe a day in March. And I recorded at Penguin Random House Audio in Woodland Hills, California. This is my 12th book with them, but every other book I've done has kind of been in the pandemic or maybe just out of it. So things were closed. So it was when I had the opportunity or the option of going in there and recording it sort of live, with the director, I jumped on it because I'm always recording, here at my home studio. And so it's a different animal getting to do something live where someone's actually listening to you like a real person and just not me in a box talking to myself. But yeah, so when you're doing that at the same time, you're on someone else's dime, you got to go in there and be prepared. At least that's how I am. And so going back and forth, hey, all the work was done. I had done my work. It was the time to just let these characters come out. And that's what we did. So I loved it. I loved the, going back to the 1920s. I loved being more in the urban state of mind with, Ebony and Byrne. And I really loved the challenge of being these men. There's several men in this book, not just Freddie and Byrne, but there's some, secondary characters. And it's just, it was just a very cool, it's kind of like being a one-woman show in the studio in Woodland Hills, so loved it.
I would imagine that's exhausting. How tiring was that?
It is exhausting. I mean, I'm going to be honest, the last day of recording, it was in March. I came home and I was like, I don't even know who I am right now. I don't know where I am. I don't know what time it is, because the last day, there's some heavy stuff going on that day in the book. And yeah, but again, this is the job, and you sort of build endurance as a narrator as you go. And I think I've built endurance. It's still a marathon though.
Yeah. Angela, I tell you, when I got a list of some clips of different narrators for to read the book, and I listened to I think 4 different people, and Chante stood out. I was like, oh yeah, that's it. I don't even have to listen to him twice. That was it. It was just like that. And I so regret that I have not heard it yet. You
have homework, but you will.
I will. I'm going to. I'm totally going to.
I've always wondered what they submitted to you, because I honestly don't know. I'm like, maybe I should use that for all my auditions.
Just know that it was good.
I love that. Yes. And one thing that I want to know, and we are going to talk about the characters a little bit. Of course, Chante has told us that one of her favorite characters is Ebony, but can we talk a little bit about Josephine? Oh my goodness. She was so vivid to me. She was live and in color to me. She was larger than life. I just loved how sounds, oh my goodness, sounds for her was just music or what have you. So I'll get Brendan to tell us a little bit about Josephine's character, and Chante, what was it like to audio narrate her character?
For Josephine, I worried about her character a little bit because, with her being living with autism, at the time, autism really wasn't, it didn't become a thing until I think 1950s, when it was formally diagnosed. Okay, this is a condition. So, how do people take someone who you would just call crazy, which was, she wasn't crazy. People just didn't understand her. And I'm like, how do I translate that into a character? She's her verbal, she's limited in what she does and what she says. So how is that going to come across? That was a real challenge for me, because I was like, do I put more? Do I put less? And then I thought about my interactions with people living with autism. It's like, it's not more or less of anything. It's just the way that you communicate. I'm like, okay, I talk to people living with autism the exact same way I talk to anyone else. And, sometimes the responses are a bit different. And I really did. It was a struggle. I struggled with whether or not to give her more lines. And it was like, I don't think that she needs it. I think that what we see going on in her head is plenty. And I had a great editor, Edward Kastenmeier, who he kind of hammered that home. Less is more, is what he says to me. And I'm like, wow. And going back and rereading, it totally was. So I gotta, admittedly, I was afraid of how Josephine would come across. But I think that I found the right balance with, it wasn't too much. It wasn't, it was just enough with Josephine.
Wow.
And it was almost like she had her own language. And especially when you started understanding how she was creating music, she was creating music with just about every sound you could think imaginable. And when she got her hands on the piano, oh my goodness. Can we talk about gifted? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Yes. And Chante, for you, what was that like?
No,
Oh, go
Well,
ahead, Brendan.
Chante.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, we had, a lot of characters, and I think this book might have been in the 400 page, mark.
Sorry
So
again.
when I'm preparing, I'm thinking about, okay, gotta pull this off, gotta pull this off. You have your list of things that you need to hit. Brendan wanted to have a meeting, and so the producer, director, and Brendan and I did do a Zoom before I went in and recorded. And that's not something that I've ever heard happening or that normally would happen, but it was valuable because, like I said, when I have 58, 56 characters to prepare, some dialect work to do, I don't personally know anyone with autism, or at least that I know of, who's on the spectrum. And, if we were doing like a major motion picture and I had 3 months, I'd be doing 5, documentaries on it, and I would go meet and talk with people. But when you're on an audiobook narration timeline, you don't really have that. So it was really valuable to me to just hear, and I'm not going to talk about the details of what we talked about because I don't want to take away from the listening experience for people, but it was just one of those times where I trusted the advice. And there would be times with the director where she didn't physically tap me on the shoulder, but she'd be like, okay, wait, remember this? And I'd be like, okay, right. And I needed that little like reminder of what we discussed. It was just really like that. So yeah, it was great. I have never gotten people to reach out to me as much as I have with this book privately. People are sending me messages saying they love Josephine, and that's not something that I do. So it resonates, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's nice. That's really nice.
I love that. Now we told y'all a little bit. We spoke a little bit about Ebony. We told you a little bit about Frederick, and we talked a little bit about Josephine. But of course, guys, we gotta talk a little bit about Bern Hendricks. Okay, Professor Bern Hendricks. Brendan, tell us what that was like writing his character, or if you want to describe his character a little bit for us.
Bern is so incredibly endearing and important to me because he is based on my late brother. And I really wanted people to, we're all human beings. Everyone has their flaws. And, sometimes when you talk about people, that's the first thing you want to go to, a flaw. I want people to know that my brother was so incredibly passionate about music, and he was one of the most talented people I have ever encountered ever in my life. And his personality, Bern's personality, that was my brother. And I wanted to share that and immortalize him with everyone. The wrinkles in the shirt, that was my brother. I'm telling you, first thing when you walk into his apartment, first thing you see is an ironing board. I'm just like, gee, God, dude, what is going on with you? But, just his personality and his passion for music, I wanted that to come through with, just everything that he revered about Frederick Delaney. I really wanted people to see him as this is someone, he really is dedicating his life to this man and his legacy. This is really, really, really important to him, so he is on a mission. He is definitely on a mission, and he wants to make sure that, because he has been tasked with this monumental, just this grandiose thing that he has to do. He wants to make sure that it is done the right way. And it's one of those things where you see people and they say, never meet your idols because they're always going to disappoint you. And I think it's a classic case of that. It's just like, wow. And a lot of people have said to me, why did it take him so long to realize what was going on with Delaney? It's like, you don't want to think that the person who is responsible for every good thing in your life, you don't want to think that that person has malintention. You don't want to do, nobody wants to think about that. So, I think he was a very normal, he was human. He was a total, and again, who's to say if we were in their spot that we wouldn't do anything differently? Who's to say? But I did want everyone to know that Bern Hendricks, that was my brother, Kevin Bernard Slocumb. That was Kevin Bernard Hendricks. That was him. And I'm so glad that he's now in people's hearts and minds forever, thanks to the wonderful Chante McCormick.
Well, I'm waiting for the movie.
Oh, yeah. Can't say anything. But But I will tell you,
that.
I am meeting with a producer coming up very soon, and who is really adamant about bringing this story to the big screen. So, yeah.
I
No
love that. And see, guys, see what you get at the cafe. You get a little bit of tea spilling. I love that. I love that as well. And I know you guys are ready. Brendan is actually going to read just a little bit, guys, just a snippet, so you guys will know why we love Symphony of Secrets as much as we do. This book, it came out recently. I still have a book hangover. I am still thinking about these characters. It is one of my faves of 2023. And I'm not just saying that because I am on here with Brendan Slocumb and Chante McCormick. No, it really is. This is like an amazing, amazing story as well. So, Brendan, we're ready when you are. Just a little snippet, just enough to wet the whistles.
Okay, so I'm going to read a little bit from chapter 12, Jamming with the Fellas. Now, okay, so Angela is we're cousins. I don't know if we're going to be cousins after this. She put me on the spot. How hard is it going to be for me to read with an award-winning audiobook narrator from a book that I wrote? I mean, I really got to do this. All right. Okay, here goes. No judgment. No judgment. All right. Fellas, Freddie said again. Somehow calling them fellas made him feel like he belonged. I really think we can do it. He knew he wasn't a bad musician. Compared to some, he was downright good. He played the clarinet and the piano and even mucked about making up his own jingles. He hadn't taken lessons for years back in Indiana. How was it that these three black musicians with no formal training could be this good? Did they just work hard? Was their talent God-given? As soon as he'd heard each of them, he'd known they'd be incredible as a group, and he was right. They were all on the verge of discovery. Okay, look, I know it's not been great, but I'll fix it. I could have sworn I was playing it right. Had they been positioned on stage slightly differently, with Red on the other side perhaps, no one would have noticed. But as it was, Eli, Bobby, and Freddie all saw the woman suddenly shake her head as if to say, "No, you didn't play it correctly." Eli laughed again. "See, looky there, even Crazy Joe knows you missed the change." Her face tilted up toward them. "Late," she said, very clearly this time, the word crisp and round in her mouth. "It was too late," she said, surprisingly beautiful, with a medium brown complexion and full lips, thick lashes framed wide-set eyes, her eyebrows arched up perfectly. But something seemed off. Something about the way she looked at them, as if seeing through them or beyond them, not quite connecting. I'm gonna stop right there because I know Chante's giving me the side eye.
Oh, fantastic. What?
Yes. Oh my goodness, Brendan, thank you so much. And guys, there are so many scenes in this story. Like even Brendan reading that one, I'm just remembering what was going on. Or what have you, but this is an amazing story, Symphony of Secrets by Brendan Slocumb, Chante, narrator of this book as well. So we're super duper excited about that. And guys, we do have a giveaway on today. We have 2 giveaways, and Brendan, you have to let me know what the giveaway is going to be. I totally forgot to ask you that. And page 158 bookstore, they're also giving away one of their bookstore t-shirts. So we'll do that one first. I'll go through the comment section and I will hit stop. And then Brendan, let me know what your giveaway is going to be as well. And then we'll do that one second.
I can give away an autographed copy of Symphony of Secrets.
Yeah.
I'm happy to mail it to someone, but I think it should come with a caveat. I want whoever can name. I want to know what when Ebony and Byrne got to the house in Oxford, what was the name of the mom in the family?
I love that. So you hear it, guys. What was the name of the mom in the family from Oxford, North Carolina? You can put that in the comment section. And of course, we will go back through later and we will get that winner, and they will receive an autographed copy of Symphony of Secrets. And then for today, we'll go ahead and pick this one now. I'm going to go through the comment section, and this person will be the winner of a page 158 book t-shirt. So let's see here. All right, I am scrolling. And Brendan, can you tell me when to stop, my friend?
All right. Stop.
Okay. Let's see. Tony Bonita, you are the winner of a t-shirt from Page 158 Books, an indie bookstore here in North Carolina. So I will get your information so I can get that to them so you can get your t-shirt. And remember, if you can put in the comment section the name of the mom of the family in Oxford, North Carolina, we will go back and I will announce that winner. Once we do that, I'll make sure I post that and we'll make sure you get a copy of this as well. Brendan and Chante, oh my goodness, it has been amazing hanging out with both of you guys on today. And last question for you, I want both of you guys to share with the people, what did you enjoy about this story? So we'll start with Chante McCormick. What did you enjoy about narrating this book? And then, of course, Brendan, what did you enjoy about writing this story? And we'll start with Chante.
You know, I have something that's like a little off the beaten path, but as a female narrator, it is not often that people are entrusted, a woman is entrusted with a story where the main characters are male. And there's no rhyme or reason or logic to it. I just think that's just one of those things that we're just used to doing things the way they've always been done, but they don't have to be done that way. There was nothing in the story that would prevent a woman from doing it. And I really just appreciate it. Like, as I'm reading, I'm like, I get to do, this is going to be, you know, I was like, I'm ready for this. They just didn't give me a chance to do it. So thank you.
I love that. And of course, Brendan, what did you enjoy about writing this amazing story?
I really enjoyed the challenge of bringing a character like Josephine to, I don't want to say to life, but to introduce the character like Josephine to readers who normally would not have read a story with a character like her in it. Just because people have preconceived notions about a lot of stuff. You know, people think that they know, we know how this, no, you don't get it until you actually get inside the head of someone or something that you like. Even with the violent conspiracy with Ray, how many people understand what it's like for a Black violinist? You know, how many people get that? You really don't understand. How many people understand what it's like for a character like Josephine to make her way in the world, you know, having to deal with, you know, like I mentioned earlier, in the 20s, being a woman, being Black, being neurodivergent, that it was tough. It was really tough. And seeing her resilience, you know, seeing her strength, and to a certain extent, seeing people want to help her. You know, I just think bringing perspectives like that, that's always a lot of fun. And it's very, very rewarding.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And guys, this book, again, like I said, it is amazing. It is totally book hangover worthy. And one of the things that I love about it is that it is available in ebook. It is available in Audible, audiobook, and it's also available in, of course, a hardcover as well. So whatever suits your fancy, you are able to enjoy this amazing story. And it is definitely available where books are sold, and as well as Page 158 Books. It is available there as well. And if you order directly from Page 158 Books, and you mentioned that you watched this on the Literary Cafe, you will get free shipping on the print, on the hardcover copy of this book as well. So you can get it from Page 158 Books, as well as where books are sold as well. Now, of course, guys, we got to find out, how can we stay connected with these amazing individuals that are hanging out with us today? Chante McCormick, how can we stay connected with you? And what do you have going on next?
Okay, so on social media, I'm probably more active on Instagram than anything else, but I'm on Instagram as Chante McCormick. Same for Twitter. And what am I missing? Facebook is Chante McCormick /audiobook narrator. So that's how you can reach me. Also, my website is chantemccormick.com, and it's CHA. So Chante with a C.
I love that. And we'll be sure to put your website information in the comment section as well, guys. From her website, you can see all of the amazing stories that she has narrated. You can see what she's working on and all that good stuff. Some amazing awards that she has received as well. So be sure to follow author Chante McCormick. I love that. And of course, Brendan Slocumb. How can we stay connected with you?
You can see my Instagram tag right there at Brendan Slocumb. I'm also on Facebook. I forget what the thing is. I don't know, because Facebook. Yeah, I have a nephew on Facebook too, and on Instagram. And I'm the one with the gray beard. I look a little bit better than he does. He thinks that he's fly, but he ain't quite. So, and my website, brendanslocumb.com, you can see where I will be speaking, signing books, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I'm actually performing some too. I just did a recital in Alexandria, Virginia, and I play with the Alexandria Chamber Music Society. And we are going to be putting on more performances coming up as soon as I find time to practice, because I'm writing my next book right now. And I have to do that every day. And those of you that follow my writing or whatever, I don't stop until I am finished. So yeah, it's been a month of steady writing so far, and I'm 1/3 of the way done. So can't go on vacation until I finish this next book. So that's motivation.
I love that. I love that. And guys, let me just tell you this, okay, about Brendan Slocumb. Brendan Slocumb is that author, and yes, I have said that he is the maestro of musical thrillers. Okay, he has made musical thrillers a thing. Okay, I love it. But in Brendan's stories, and Chante, I don't know if you got this vibe when you was like narrating it. Brendan makes the music come alive. Like I could literally, y'all know I'm bookish like that. I could hear the music like playing. Oh my goodness. When I'm reading it, like it really radiates and lifts up off the page when he's writing about the musical scenes. Oh my goodness. You are brilliant when you do that. I mean, it's just like amazing. So I just have to share that with everybody so you'll know when you read a Brendan Slocumb book. It's almost like, for me, Brendan, that's like your signature, your trademark. You know how every author has their thing? That's your thing for me. Like when I start hearing the music as I'm reading it, I'm like, yep, that's Brendan. This is a Brendan Slocumb book. Yes, yep, that's him. I love that. Well, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me on today. It has been amazing. Again, thank you, Page 158 Books, for sponsoring the Literary Cafe on today with Brendan Slocumb and audiobook narrator Chante McCormick. Guys, make sure you stay connected with them. Of course, Brendan has The Violin Conspiracy, which is available, same thing, in ebook, print, and audiobook. And as well, of course, Symphony of Secrets, guys. Both books are amazing. Go out, get you a copy, and enjoy. And of course, leave a review. I know that Brendan Slocumb will be so appreciative. And also, if you listen to the audio, definitely leave a review there as well. I know that both of these individuals will be so appreciative of that. And of course, tell a friend to tell a friend. Go get them a copy of Symphony of Secrets. And I'm telling you, you will have so much to talk about, okay? Because we just spilled a little bit of tea on today. Well, as we always say, guys, and before we leave, Brendan, I want you to have the last words. Is there anything you want to share with us on today?
You guys are absolutely amazing. Chante McCormick is amazing. Angela is amazing. We're family. Thank you guys so much for your support. There's more to come.
Awesome.
I love that. And thank you so much again for joining us, Chante. Super treat. And is there anything you would like to say to the people before we go?
You know what? Next month, I have a book coming out with Macmillan Audio about the late, great Althea Gibson called Althea. So check it out. She's an important part of our history.
I love that. Well, be sure, guys, to stay in contact with Chante McCormick. We'll put her information in the comment section. Be sure to stay connected with Brendan Slocumb. Go read A Symphony of Secrets if you haven't done so already. And as I always say, guys, have an amazing day, because we're having an amazing day. And until next time, we'll see you guys later. Bye. Have a great day.
Thank you.